Welcome to NBA Jam PatmanQC on Fire Edition. Boom shakalaka!
Happy little recaps.
Hey everybody, PatmanQC here, heading to Milwaukee for the Midwest Gaming Classic. We're going to check out video games, arcade games, pinball machines, and everything else on this episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Hey everybody, PatmanQC here, on the way to Milwaukee to the Midwest Gaming Classic. We're going to check out all sorts of video games, arcade games, pinball machines, celebrities, and much, much more. So be on the lookout for me at the Midwest Gaming Classic. See you there.
We are on the road to the Midwest Gaming Classic, where video games are played and dreams are made. This show promises to be bigger, badder, and better than any previous show, and I can't wait to get inside and check everything out. We arrived at the Baird Center at just over 11 a.m. Walking inside for the first time was a sight to behold. There was a line of over 300 people either purchasing or just picking up their tickets. The last time I was at this convention was just after COVID, and while there were a lot of people, it didn't compare to the sheer volume of this one. Everything definitely was bigger and better. After getting our pictures taken with a life-size cardboard cutout of not only Andre the Giant, but also my wife, we set out to explore the vast number of games on display. Anything and everything was on display, from some extremely rare consoles to some Japanese systems such as the PC-98. One of the first things I came across was a TV running some sort of emulation box with the game WrestleFest. I've always loved this game, and when I started this channel 8 years ago, it was one of the first documentaries I had ever done. If I ever see this game out in the wild, I have to play it, and this was no exception. I could never turn down a good old trackball game, so I decided to give Crystal Castles a whirl, and it was still just as fun as I remembered. The ever-elusive Baby Pac-Man was also on display, so of course I had to give it a shot. One game I didn't expect to see was Bubble Hockey, and although I really couldn't play it, I couldn't resist trying it. My buddies Steve and Eddie tried out a few other games before venturing out into the main floor. Here at the Midwest Gaming Classic, taking a look at all the vendors. We've got video games, we've got prints, we've got just about everything you could possibly imagine, and even some cool custom cars, including the Ectomobile and the Jeep from Jurassic Park. There were a couple of people I wanted to meet, even though I had spoken to them through email. The first one was Eugene Jarvis. This man is a legend in this business, and I just wanted to introduce myself and say thanks for being so generous with his time when it came to the research I had done on my various projects. Thankfully, I was able to meet the man and spend a few moments with him. Thanks to some good old-fashioned audio issues, I wasn't able to pick it up over the microphone, but he did mention that my videos were some of the most extensive documentaries and that people love my stuff. He also said that my work has hugely contributed to the retro gaming community, helping keep the classics alive. That was extremely cool. Brian Collin was another guest I really wanted to meet after I spoke with him a few times through email while making Rampage and Rampage World Tour. He always came across as extremely gracious, and I really just wanted a picture with him. After introducing myself, his eyes lit up and he immediately asked if he could have a picture with me in front of his booth. Mr. Collin had stated that my videos were so in-depth that I had put in information that he had completely forgotten about. This man created an iconic series and has worked on a number of other games such as Spy Hunter and Discs of Tron. He also couldn't have been nicer. Making our way down the aisle, we ran across Tim Kitzrow, who was signing autographs and even selling copies of NBA Jam, which Steve ended up purchasing. Tim ended up signing the cover, the cartridge, and the manual. I did get to ask him about the adult version of NBA Jam, and he said that Midway gave him a bunch of lines to record in the studio, and somehow it made its way onto the internet. At this point, I noticed a couple of small basketball hoops that were set up. I decided to throw one shot, and this is what happened.
Come on! Good shot! Count it!
Boom shakalaka! We did get to spend some time with Catalin Zamiyar, who portrayed Katana and Melina in Mortal Kombat 2. She was extremely nice and went out of her way to give us an overall positive experience. I would have liked to have had a photo with Daniel Pazina or Richard DeVizio, but there was always a bit of a line, so we never made it back around. The vendor hall was absolutely huge. Yes, I realize this is a video game convention, but I have never seen so many video game vendors in my life. If there was ever a game you were looking to add to your collection, more than likely you were going to find it here. If video games were not your thing, you could always sit back and enjoy a little bit of pro wrestling. They had shows at noon and 3. After being pleasantly surprised by the car from Wayne's World and also the Ecto-1, I turned the corner and my jaw dropped. Even though I've seen the 1966 Batmobile in person a number of times, every time I see it, I revert back to that 8-year-old watching reruns of the classic Adam West show after school. Holy cow, look at this. The 1966 Batmobile in all its glory. Oh, it's a work of art. This is, without a doubt, the best Batmobile that's ever been created. You can't top this. This is the absolute best. Take a look at this. Oh! You know, I don't want to get too personal, but I think my nipples are hard. Wow. Look at the Jeeps from Jurassic Park were also on display, as well as KITT or the Knight Rider 2000 car was on hand. This was another of my favorite shows from the early 1980s. At this point, we moseyed into the main arcade area, and boy oh boy were we in for a treat. Not only were there a number of classic pinball machines for you to check out, but there were also some brand new offerings such as The Godfather and Jaws. Mr. Jarvis and his team from Raw Thrills had the brand new VR game Godzilla, which looked fantastic. However, one of the first games I had to try out was the original Punch-Out! Look at what I found here at the Midwest Gaming Classic. It's the original Punch-Out! I'm about ready to knock the crap out of Glass Joe, so take a look. Are you ready?
Right, mighty blow, mighty blow, mighty blow, mighty blow, mighty blow, mighty blow, knocking out, uppercut, 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 mighty blow, mighty blow, left, 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 put him away, right hook, left,
He's down for the count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
What do you think about that, Eddie?
Mighty blow, mighty blow, mighty blow, mighty blow, mighty blow, mighty blow, knock him out. Uppercut. 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 Mighty blow. Left. Put him away. Right hook. Right hook. Come on. Left. Mighty blow. Mighty blow. Down to the hip. 1.
Yeah, that's right.
Mighty blow. Mighty blow. Mighty blow. Mighty blow. Mighty blow. Knock him out. Left. Right hook. Right hook. Right hook. Down to the hip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Knockout.
Great fighting for submission fun. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing in the red corner, fight. Come on.
That's it. No hands, no feet, no problem.
Great fighting for submission fun. Get quick. PatmanQC fighting today.
Okay.
We also played a few pinball machines and even Strikes and Spares, which is a combination pinball and bowling game. After scoring only 90 the first game and having Eddie and Steve wipe the floor with me, I rallied the second game and shot 247, which was the high among the three of us. After a lackluster panel the first night with a few other YouTubers, including the guys from Channel Awesome, John Riggs, and John Hancock, it was back to our room to collapse and eat some cold pizza. The panel the second day turned out much better. This was on the bonus stage that was hosted by Seth, who did a great job. Here is the panel in its entirety, so if you want to skip ahead, feel free.
Started. My name is Tiger Chainsaw. I'm here with my buddy Lame Dad, but we have a very special guest right now, PatmanQC. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. So you were just telling us that this is your first time back in a couple years, right?
Correct.
And it's grown a lot?
It's huge. It's like, I wouldn't say 10 times bigger, but it's just, the amount of people here is just unbelievable.
How does this compare to other trade shows and conventions that you go to?
This is, well, I mean, there's T2E2, which is obviously the biggest one. But as far as video games go, this is the biggest one I've seen.
Wow. So we're here to talk about your YouTube channel and kind of what you're doing there. Dave was saying, do you want to ask the bowling question?
Yeah, so I was checking your channel out. I don't watch a lot of YouTube, so I tried to check some videos out, stuff like that.
Sure.
And was looking through, you've done a lot of work on your channel.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
I've done about 250 documentaries.
Right, yeah. And what I thought was really, really cool was your channel started with bowling videos.
It was, yeah. It was just me doing bowling video game videos. I figured nobody else was doing it, so I might as well try it. But initially, it's me screaming like a maniac for 10 minutes while I'm playing these stupid bowling games.
But I love how you left it. Like, you left those videos on there. A lot of
I did.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't have the heart to delete them, and my kids will put them on. They'll try to be funny, and
they'll go in the living room and put it on, and I'll hear, "Oh, look out! It's a big strike! Who is this guy?" So,
Well, you'll see YouTube channels grow, and people will get kind of bigger, and they'll start getting more subscribers, and you'll see some of those older videos get deleted.
yeah. I just don't have the heart to delete those. I mean, it's just it's how I got started, so I figured I might as well leave them up there.
So, how did you get started though with YouTube? Why did you decide to start uploading videos? Was this a passion of yours or
Actually, yes.
creativity? Tell us the origin story.
You know, honestly, as long as I can remember, I grew up in bowling alleys. You know, my whole family were bowlers. I'm still a bowler myself, and I started with pinball machines. Then I went to Space Invaders, Pac-Man, on and on and on, and I just had this passion for video games forever. So, in 2015, for people who don't know, I'm a quad amputee, and I lost my limbs due to pneumonia, turned septic. So I was sitting at home recovering, watching my kids watch people on YouTube play video games. I mean, they weren't playing them themselves, they were watching everybody else do it. So I figured, yeah, you know, I've got all this knowledge up here for the last 40 years. Let me put it to good use. So I downloaded a freeware directing program and editing software and just taught myself how to use it and went from there.
We were talking about bowling videos early, but what is more of your favorite content to create currently?
I do like, well, I mean, bowling it's always been there. I've been bowling since I was 2 years old. I mean, for the last 50 years I've bowled, so that's always been there. But I mean, for now, I've been doing these history of documentaries for so long. They're pretty in depth. I mean, they're not as in depth as some of these other ones, like the Gaming Historian or some of these other ones, but they're pretty knowledgeable. And I try to put jokes in. I try to balance it out with the information as opposed to the humorous aspect. But overall, I would say just the various I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I've done some really good ones on Pit Fighter, if you remember that game, and Rampage and Mortal Kombat.
I love Rampage.
Oh yeah, so do I. So and Brian is a super nice guy. So those are probably my favorite ones to do.
Okay.
And I mean, you've done a lot, right? Like you said, I checked out your Cruising USA video, which
that was really good. Yeah.
very informative. And then I really enjoyed I'm a huge Terminator fan,
Oh yeah,
so I really enjoyed your T2 video.
that was good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been so many. I mean, if people were to say something, hey, you guys should check out this game here or this game here, and more than likely I've already done it.
Dave, didn't you say you hated Cruising USA?
I hate the cruising games. I hate them. I hate them.
Why is that?
And so you talked a little bit about it in your video, but those games, for me, the machines were quarter munchers.
They were.
They were quarter munchers.
Hey.
I'd walk, up the street to the gas station where they had one, and a pocket full of quarters, and I'd be done in like 30 minutes. Like
That's what they're designed to do, though. I mean, they get that money from you as quick as they can.
oh yeah.
So, obviously, you enjoy video games. Can you kind of talk about accessibility and kind of how you play them?
Yeah, I'm still able to play arcade games for the most part. I mean, I just whipped their asses a couple times yesterday. We just got there playing a bowling pinball machine over here that they've got, and I don't want to brag, but I beat those guys too. So I can't. It's hard for me to do anything with the old consoles now, but I mean, I figured out a way to use emulation and an Xbox 360 controller, Xbox One controller, kind of prop it up on my leg and kind of just go from there. But I'm still able to do it.
How was that journey, though, as far as what year did you...
2015.
2015 to now. Has it been kind of a learning curve to get yourself back into gaming, or were you just right from the start, like, let's do this?
Right from the start. Yeah, it was. I mean, I've been doing it for so long, it's like, let me figure out a way to do this. I mean, I figured out how to bowl after I lost my arms. I figured out how to do various other simple tasks. But video gaming was high up on the list, so just figured it out.
So what games are you playing right now?
I'm working on Mortal Kombat 4. Is the next one I've got coming out. That's the one in the pipeline. So before that one, I just did Ring King, and before that was Narc. Wow. If you guys remember that game. So.
All right, I got to ask, have you ever bowled a 300 game?
13 times.
Jeez.
With this hand.
Oh my God.
So when I lost my arms, I had to switch everything to the right. So now my high score with hands is 300. My high score without hands is 178.
Are you as good a gamer as you are a bowler?
Yeah, actually.
He's like, yeah, no big deal.
Yeah. Not to brag, but yeah, I'm pretty good.
What's your creative process when you make your documentaries? Kind of, how long does it take for the timeline to happen from when you think of the idea to when you hit publish?
About a week. Week to 10 days.
Yeah.
Start with the script. Look at the idea. Write the script. Research it. Write the script. Play the game. Look for Easter eggs. Contact the developers if I can. Like I've talked to Eugene and Brian and other people who've contributed. And most of the time they're really nice, and they provide me with little tidbits that aren't readily known that I like to put in the video. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good amount of detail in your video, so that turnaround process is extremely quick for the amount of content you put in a video.
Yeah, and each one is, like I said, they're about 20 to 30 minutes. Now, some of these other ones that get a bit more detailed, like Space Harrier, for example, is 60 minutes. And that one is, not only do I do the history, but I do each game in the series, and then I take a look at each home version as well, and that includes the computer ports, so the Commodore 64, the Amiga, Nintendo, Sega, on and on and on. So,
what was the first video on your channel that really took off where you're like, wow, I have a future in this?
First one would be Pit Fighter.
What was the reception like for that, and kind of what was your mindset when you started to see it take off?
It was the first one to reach over 100,000 views. So it's like, I've always heard people bash Pit Fighter for some reason, and it's just one of those guilty pleasures of mine. I really love that game, and then I saw it took off, and it's like, well, what's with all the bashing? If people are watching this video, clearly they're interested in it. So that was the first one, and then Rampage was big, and then there've been quite a few other ones that have been up there.
We're going to keep firing questions off, but if anyone in the audience has any questions, I'm happy to come down there and give a mic. All right, here we go.
Let's go, Retro Rob. Let's go.
Oh, you don't have to go down. I've got a mic right here.
All right. Like this way? Yeah, there you go. Okay, so hey, longtime fan, obviously. You're
Appreciate
one of
that.
the first channels I ever watched. You were up there with Metal Jesus,
Oh, nice.
John Riggs, all those guys back in the day when all those first coming out. Huge, I love your voice. I love how calming the videos are. I love that you can pack everything in 30-something minutes, but it's still detailed and amazing information.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, it's going to be a question, sorry. My favorite videos, though, as a Atari Lynx fan, a longtime Lynx fan, one of my favorite libraries. So I love the 2 Lynx videos you did. But my question would be, what is your favorite, though, game that you've ever covered?
Oh, my favorite would have to be the WWF WrestleFest arcade game. I don't know if you guys remember that one or not. That was one of my very first videos I ever did, and I love that game. I just played it yesterday with Eddie, my friend, and still love that game. I played it 1,000 times, and I'll keep on playing it. So it's one of my favorites. Thanks.
Hi, yeah. So I was just really curious. One of the things that I really like about your content is how consistent you are. You've had you go back to those early documentaries, they're very similar in kind of quality to the later product. You've been super consistent. How did you arrive at that style? You have sort of your jokes, you have your bits that you go through. How did you get there right away and hit it immediately?
I appreciate that. It's just one of those things. I've always just sort of liked to talk about video games, and I've had nobody to talk about it. I mean, I can't talk with my wife about it. I mean, Eddie and Steve, my buddies, I could talk about, but not to the depth the knowledge that I've got in here. I mean, they could give, they couldn't care less about some of the more intricate details. But it's just something that I've always had, and I've just always liked talking about. So, thanks for the question.
By the way, as far as this smooth, calming voice that you said I had a guy tell me one time, he's like, I used to suffer from insomnia, but I put your videos on, and it knocked me right out. And I'm like, I don't know how to take that. So, thanks.
I would take that as a viewer, and that's important.
If you could work on any video game series, like have any sort of creative control, whether it be the design or the story, what game would it be, and what would you want to do for it?
Oh, boy. Personally, any video game, a bowling video game. That's what it would be, honestly.
What are some of the best bowling games out there? Besides Wii Bowling, obviously.
Oh, Wii Bowling. Talk about a free pack-in title that was just fantastic. $250? I'm there, buddy. It was the best one, Brunswick Circuit Pro Bowling, back on the PlayStation and N64.
Okay. Have you ever tried Super Monkey Ball Bowling?
Oh, of course.
Okay,
You bet.
that's my wife's all-time favorite GameCube game, just for the bowling
I
aspect.
love it. That's the only reason I got Monkey Ball Bowling was for that. The
Yeah.
only reason.
We will play that for 3 hours, just nonstop, and she kicks my butt.
It's great because bowling games are kind of hard because the bowling pins have to fly around and like they do in real life. Monkey Ball, it does that. Wii Bowling, it does that. So if you don't have that, it's not fun to play. To me, anyway.
I thought you had a question.
No. Well, talking about bowling.
Hey, Patman. Can we expect to see you at any conventions in the near future?
I'm going to be appearing at the Des Moines convention come June. So if anybody is out there, stop by and say hi.
Have you been to Kaz's Mini Bowl here in Milwaukee?
I have not.
It's like bowling, but the ball is, instead of a regular size bowling ball, it's the size of a skee ball.
Oh, okay, sure.
And yeah, they've got like 3 lanes of it, and yeah, still classic. You have to have a pin setter because
really?
it's that old still.
Got
and
the pin boys.
Yeah, the
Nice.
pin boys, and yeah, it is a very fun time.
I love seeing those old bowling alleys before with the pin boys and with the old wooden balls and the wooden lanes. So yeah, that stuff's really cool.
You're in the right place for some good bowling action. You
I
know,
was
Milwaukee's the home of bowling.
I wanted to go midnight bowling last night.
I was
You
just telling
should've.
you that. Yeah.
You should have, absolutely. There's some great. We have some of the oldest bowling alleys in the country
Oh.
here, so it's very, very cool.
I'll do it next time.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
So when you come to conventions, kind of what's your checklist before you come? Do you have any goals in mind? Are you trying to network? Do you game hunt? What are you doing here?
I don't have the room. I'm a huge Batman guy, so I've got way too much Batman stuff as it is. On top of every single video game console I've ever owned, I've still got all that. So I just don't have room for any more games or anything like that.
What's the best Batman game?
Oh, it's got to be Arkham Asylum. Yeah. Got to be.
The first one.
Yeah. Yeah. The entire series, but yeah, that first one was so unique and it was just great, really good.
I was a big fan of Arkham Knight, just not the Taint, not the Batmobile.
Didn't like that? How come?
It just seemed kind of gimmicky. I mean, it's still a great game, but you end up having to do so many different maneuvers and button presses, this and that.
That's true. I didn't like all the Riddler things you had to find. I mean, that was just that was nuts.
Titan Joker. Titan Joker is like the Arkham Asylum is a great game until that final boss fight, and then you're like, really? I just wanted to fist fight the Joker. Like, I didn't need him to turn into some giant monster.
Right.
And then the fact that that's like what they based the plot of the next 2 games on, I was like, oh my god, can we please just forget that the whole Titan Joker was a thing? But it was like the entire plot of the game. Sorry,
That's all right.
you got me going. You got me going.
What's your favorite type of Batman content to do? Do you like playing him, comics, TV shows, movies? Kind of what is your favorite style?
You know, honestly, I like it. Pretty much encompasses the whole genre. I mean, whether it's comics, whether it's cartoons, whether it's the movies, whether it's the games. Whenever I talk about the games, I always have to put a bit of history about the character in. So I covered that, and I usually show clips from the cartoons or the movies or whatnot, and just give a history of the character too. So honestly, I think I've probably done 6 or 7 Batman videos, just from the various games to. Haven't really done one on just the comics themselves, but like just pretty much the games.
So my oldest daughter she's 11 now, but she's gotten really, really big into the animated series.
Oh yeah,
And she's all about it, man.
that's a nice thing about HBO Max. Everything is streaming now. You can just watch it right online. So, but the animated series is probably the best thing you've done, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Who's the best Batman villain and why?
I got to go with Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson Joker. I mean, but you know, I'm of that age. I mean, other people will say Heath Ledger. Other people will say Jared Leto. Okay, maybe not, but I would say Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
But what about you guys?
I'm going to go classic Jack as well.
There you
Like
go.
Heath was awesome. He's a great Batman. Terrific performance in that movie.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Jack Nicholson is the Joker. Pulls
Favorite-
out that long gun. I mean,
I think we are all of that like age. Like even if you were younger, like you just adored that movie. Like it didn't get better than Batman.
Right.
You know, like and I loved the 1960s show as well. Like
So do I.
when they took it off of air, I actually called the TV station, being like, "When are you going to put Batman back on?" And they're like, "Oh, if a time slot opens up, we'll get to it." But yeah. I love Heath Ledger's interpretation. The movie itself, I could do with like out the entire Hong Kong sequence, right?
sure.
Like it's the first one's a stronger movie. It's a stronger character. I love Jack Nicholson.
I do. I was just say I do want to shout out Mark Hamill too because I think he's a phenomenal voice actor for the
yeah,
Joker.
Absolutely. I geeked out hard yesterday when we walked around the corner and there was the 1966 Batmobile down there.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow, look at that. What a nice surprise.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite comic storyline? Like Long Halloween is like my favorite arc.
Long Halloween, Dark Knight Returns, Batman Year One,
Year one, yeah.
Batman Hush.
Hush, yeah. I always wanted always thought Tom Hardy was going to be Hush instead of Bane. I would have preferred him as like kind of that rival to Bruce Wayne.
I know why you don't like that.
What do you mean? Crashing this plane.
Is there ever a Batman goes bowling storyline?
No, but I should write it.
You should.
That's
he
a good
went
idea.
surfing. I mean, he went surfing. I wouldn't put bowling past him.
You know, honestly, in the 70s, there was a comic where Clark Kent went bowling and actually used his superpowers to get strikes.
What a cheater.
And if you recall, Superman 3, one of his Lana Lang's son went bowling, and Clark did a gesundheit and shot the ball down the lanes, and the pins all exploded. So there's that too.
So, I mean, there's the Big Lebowski, there's Kingpin. Is there any, like, under the radar, is there a bowling movie that we should watch that we've, like, never seen, or, like, a bowling-related media product that, like, nobody's heard about? Because everybody's heard of the Big Lebowski. What's the bowling thing that people need to watch that they haven't heard about?
You know, Big Lebowski. I mean, you can't really get much better than that, to be honest. But I mean, Kingpin is great too. But I don't know, just Big Lebowski. I can't think of any that are under the radar. But the Big Lebowski. I don't know about you guys.
with the dude.
With the
Yeah,
dude.
the dude.
The dude abides.
The dude abides.
We are up here talking with PatmanQC. If you guys have any other questions, we're happy to toss the mic your way. If you want to ask anything about his hobbies, his YouTube channel, bowling, Batman, he can talk it all.
So I will say that like I feel fortunate enough that I was able to spend some time in a bowling alley when I was younger. And the arcades in the bowling alleys were just dope. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, my family bowled so much that, you know, my dad bowled on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Wow. I bowled on Saturdays, so half my week I was at a bowling alley.
nice.
So I grew up around those arcade games too, and that's where my passion developed for that stuff.
Now, you have kids, right?
Yeah.
Are they bowlers?
They are not. And my son was a year old, and I had the ball in his hand trying to make him push it down the lane, and he did not care.
No.
My daughter didn't care either, so I'm not sure if they're my kids or not.
Are they gamers?
They are gamers, yeah.
Okay,
they are.
at least I got that.
Yeah.
What's it been like to see your YouTube channel take off? Were you surprised that you've gotten such a great community, or are you just like, yeah, I make pretty good content, they should be like this?
I mean,
I am surprised. I'm surprised every day. Steve will tell you that it's gotten so big. But it's, I do make pretty good content. I try to make consistent content. I try not to get, I don't swear on my channel either. That's something else. It's, I think in the last 8 years, I don't think I've had one swear word. So anybody can watch it. I've had people tell me, I watch it with my kids. We all love it. It's all entertaining. And then they kind of bond over that and then tell me about it. So that's kind of cool. I like hearing about things like that.
How important is consistency for a YouTuber to have a set schedule or just to produce a video once a week? Extremely consistent. And whether it be your time frame or just the quality overall, you want to have that same quality of content every time, or at least try to. I guess some of these games, like people will ask me to do, they'll ask me to do Mario, they'll ask me to do Street Fighter, and honestly, those games have been done to death. When I first started my channel, I started covering games that hadn't been done to death. Like instead of Donkey Kong, I would do Donkey Kong Jr. or Donkey Kong 3. Instead of Pac-Man, I did Miss Pac-Man, Baby Pac-Man, some of the other ones. And it's just try to be consistent, I try to put one out every 7 to 10 days. What is your advice for people that want to start a YouTube channel? I guess, what are some of the things that they can do to become successful?
First of all, do what you like. That's the big thing. I mean, you can't go into this expecting to be a huge megastar and like Mr. Beast and make, millions of dollars. Do what you like. You don't have to have expensive equipment. You can start with a cheap cell phone. When I started, I used a handheld mic without a stand, holding it like this, and that's why the old videos sound like crap. So, because of that. So, but really, just do what you like. Follow your passion.
Yeah, that's like the key thing, right? Is doing what makes you happy.
Absolutely. And if you're happy with the content, more than likely other people will be too.
The audience can really tell too when you're passionate about something.
Right.
That really resonates with them, and
Right.
so it comes through in your content when you're passionate. And I think that's really important that's showcased in videos.
And honestly, talk about what you know. That too. I mean, a lot of times, a lot of people can read Wikipedia and you'll see that, and they'll follow it down beat by beat, and just like each individual, almost word for word. And it's like, well, you got to come up with your own content. You have to put it in your own voice. You have to research it and do it that way.
What are some of the best practices for researching your videos, so you're not just pigeonholed to Wikipedia and stuff like that?
Wikipedia, I mean, it's good for like a base to kind of see where it's at. But I've got a 1,000 issue collection of video game magazines all the way back to the early 80s, and it's got interviews with developers. I contact developers, other articles, conventions, speaking with people here, getting small interviews when I see other people out and about. That's pretty much it. And just verify, just double check it and triple check it and make sure it's accurate.
Cool, thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, where can we find you, Pat, on the internet for those who might not know?
My name is PatmanQC. PatmanQC, History of Arcade Documentaries. Look for me on any place you can find YouTube, and that's where I'll be.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
The show was a blast, and we all had a lot of fun. I was able to connect with Doug Walker, John Hancock, Retro Rob, and Ryan Berger from Old School Gamer magazine. Preliminary plans are already in place for me to attend next year as well. I wanted to thank Dan Lucen and everyone involved for the invite and putting on such a spectacular show. Big shout out to Seth, better known as Tiger Chainsaw, for providing video footage of the panel on the bonus stage. Check out his retro gaming channel on YouTube at the link down below. Also, big thanks to PD7 as well as Retro Rob for also providing footage for this video. Links can be found down below. Hope everyone enjoyed this. See you next year. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, if you would like to support me on Patreon, please click the link below.
If you would like to contribute but not sign up for my Patreon, you can always click the donate button up above. Thanks everyone for watching.